Okay, guys, this is really interesting. Today, we are going to discuss some common SQL interview questions which you generally face when you go for any interview round. These are the most common questions that you generally encounter when you go for interviews for data analyst, data scientist, or SQL developer. So, let's start with our first question. How do you handle null values in SQL? For handling null values, we can check for nulls using is null function or is not null. And if we want to replace nulls, we can use coalesce or if null functions. See, null values cause a lot of problems whenever you do data analysis, so you need to ensure calculations are not affected by nulls by handling them properly. Let's go to the next question. Difference between where and having. This question will be repeated many times when you go for SQL interview questions. Where function is for filtering rows before aggregation. Having function is for filtering after aggregation. Use where for raw data filters, having for filters on aggregate functions. You use having function whenever you use group by. So you group by a particular column, and after that, if you want to filter out some of the rows, then you will use having function. The next question is, how do you remove duplicates from a table? To query unique values, we generally use distinct function. To permanently remove duplicates, we use a row number or a CTE with delete to keep only one of each duplicate. This is how it goes. You create a new column using row number function, so that will create the ranks, and there you need to group by a particular column. So now you have multiple rows with multiple ranks for each group. Now you need to remove the duplicates by filtering out row number is row number column by rank is equal to 1. That will remove all the duplicates, and you can permanently remove the duplicates from a particular table using delete. How do you optimize a slow running query? See, this is the most common question in terms of performance. So you need to check the execution plan first for bottlenecks. Then you need to optimize indexes, avoid unnecessary select star, use proper joins, break down complex queries, and you need to consider partitions or materialized views for recurring queries. What is a window function? A window function performs calculations across a set of rows related to the current row without collapsing results into a single value. This is used for calculating running totals, ranking, and moving averages. So this is a really important concept, and definitely you will get a SQL question related to window function. How do you calculate a running total in SQL? We can calculate running total using sum function and using window function, which is over, and we need to order by something to get a cumulative sum without grouping the data. How do you find the second highest salary? We can find the second highest salary by first finding the maximum salary. No, actually, first you need to select the maximum salary from table. So here you are selecting maximum salary from table. You now have maximum salary, and this is written inside a subquery in order to filter the salary. So now you are taking salary less than the maximum salary. That will be the salaries which do not have the maximum salary. Now among these salaries that you have filtered out, you need to select the maximum salary. That will give you second highest salary. That is how you find the second highest salary. Alternatively, you can use dense rank and filter for rank is equal to 2. So there are two ways. These are the two ways that you can solve this problem. Next, how do you pivot data in SQL? We have a function called pivot. You need to use pivot if supported. Here I would like to tell you that I have covered around 100 SQL commands. In that there is pivot, how does pivot works. You should definitely check out that video. Otherwise you can use case when statements combined with group by. How do you handle large data sets in SQL? So this is another question related to performance in SQL. You need to optimize the indexes, use partitioning, limit results with top or limit, avoid subqueries when possible. See, subqueries consume a lot of resources, so you need to make sure that you avoid subqueries whenever possible. Consider materialized views for recurring queries. Next question is difference between inner join and left join. So an inner join returns only matching rows from both tables, whereas a left join returns all rows from the left table and matching rows from the right table, and it fills unmatched right table rows with nulls. Next question is how do you calculate the percentage of total in SQL? So you use sum function in order to calculate the total, and you can use window function. So here we select a column, then value into 100 divided by sum of value over, and inside over you do not have to specify anything. Now this will take the sum, overall sum of the entire column that you specified in the sum function. So this is how you calculate the percentage of total for each row in that table. How do you find the top n rows per group? This is simple. You use row number or dense rank with partition by group column, the column that you want to group by, and filter for row number less than or equal to n. So what happens is for each group you have the row number, you have the rank for each row in each group. Now you just need to take top n rows per each group by using row number less than or equal to n. This is how you filter the top n rows per group. Next, how do you handle time series data in SQL? For time series we need date functions, and we use lag or lead and window functions for analyzing trends. Index by date to improve performance. How do you calculate a moving average? So this is the syntax, SQL command, SQL statement for calculating a moving average. You take the average of the column that you want to calculate the moving average for, and you use window function over order by date, and you need to take the rows between n preceding and current row. So let's say you want to calculate the moving average for based on last 7 days. You need to specify 7 preceding and current row in order to calculate the moving average. Next, how do you calculate year over year growth? You use lag to get last year's value. Then you calculate by using this formula, current minus previous divided by previous into 100. How do you calculate the difference between two dates? We use date diff in SQL Server, timestamp diff in MySQL, or you can simply subtract the dates in PostgreSQL. So it is different for each of these RDBMS. Now let's go to next question. How do you handle case sensitivity in SQL? So we generally use lower or upper for comparisons to make sure that we are correctly comparing the characters. Make sure that case sensitivity is not an issue by using lower or upper, and you can also adjust collation settings if needed, so it depends on the database. How do you calculate the correlation between two columns? So if you have a database which supports core function, you can directly use for calculating the correlation, you just need to specify column 1 and column 2. Otherwise, you need to calculate the covariance and standard deviations manually. How do you find the most frequent value in a column? You can group by the column, and you need to order by count star, and then you need to sort the count in descending order. So this is how you find the most frequent value in a column. So basically this is what you call mode of the column. We are finding the most frequently repeated value in a column. How do you calculate cumulative distribution? We can use cum_dist. This is a function over order by column for the relative rank of each row. How do you handle slow joins? This is another question related to performance of SQL. Ensure proper indexes on both tables. Avoid unnecessary joins of large tables. And use explain to check execution plans. How do you find the median in SQL? We can use percentile count, and inside we need to specify 0.5, which is the middle of, which is basically the 50th percentile of the data. Then within group order by column if supported. Otherwise you can use row number, and you need to find the middle value after calculating the row number. How do you find the number of unique values in a column? You can just use count, and you need to use distinct keyword for the column that you want to find the number of unique values. How do you handle large text fields in SQL? You need to avoid unnecessary select star. See, text fields are a problem in SQL. Generally, SQL is more optimized if you have number columns, but if you have large text fields, you can resolve it, or you can at least improve the performance by avoiding unnecessary select star. Store large text fields in separate tables if needed for performance, and use full text indexing for search. How do you calculate standard deviation in SQL? We can use stddev, and you need to specify the column, or stddev underscore samp, which means for sample, and you need to specify the column depending on the database. How do you handle incremental data loads? You need to handle incremental data loads by tracking changes using timestamps, an ID column, or change data capture. Insert or update only necessary records. So this is how you handle incremental data loads. You need to make sure that the current data that you have is not updated. Only the new data that you get needs to be inserted or updated. Only necessary records. How do you find the number of weekends between two dates? You need to generate all dates in the range and count where weekday date in 5 6. So 5 6 generally means the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. In SQL Server you can use date part, weekday, comma, date. If you want the PDF of all the questions that we have covered today, then you can check out the link in the description, and you can get this PDF. It has all the questions that we have covered today. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, and check out this video if you want to learn about 100 plus SQL commands. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.